everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday. We've just been speaking to Mikel Arteta and Bernd Leno ahead of tomorrow night's crucial quarter-final second leg for Arsenal against Slavia Prague over in the Czech Republic. So I thought I'd come on here, talk a little bit about what the manager and Leno has had to say and look ahead to that game tomorrow night as well. I won't do my predicted 11 or anything like that today. I'll save that for tomorrow's video. Today will be mainly focused on the press conference reaction and some of the big talking points from there, including Folarin Balogun and his imminent new contract. Mikel has been speaking about him. Some interesting team news as well. A little bit of a boost in terms of a couple of players, a couple still not so sure on. And Bernd Leno's been talking about his future as well at Arsenal with 2 years left, or just approaching 2 years left on his contract at the club. Let's talk about Folarin Balogun. He's obviously probably not going to be involved tomorrow night. Looking highly unlikely he will be involved tomorrow night anyway, despite his good form for the under-23s. But it does certainly look like he will be extending his stay at Arsenal and will be here for another 4 years. We're not sure when the announcement is going to come. It could come today. By the time you're watching this video, who knows? It might have been announced by Arsenal. But he is very, very close to officially putting pen to paper and signing a new 4-year deal with the club. Mikel Arteta has been speaking about it. This is what he has to say. He says, we're going to make it official when it's official, when everything is done. But as I said before, I was being very positive that he wants to stay at the club. We want him to stay at the club, so we are very close. I mean, this is obviously going to be a big boost for Arsenal. It did look like he was going to go. Certainly the general feeling around football was he was going to move on. The bridge had kind of, the ship had kind of had sailed at that point when it came to Balogun and his Arsenal contract. Arsenal obviously ending contract talks with him last year, then restarting them. Basically after Mikel came in and had a good look at him and really wanted him to stay, the contract talks restarted, and Arsenal have been working on that for the last few months. There's been so much interest in Balogun from home, from abroad. They've already rejected bids from the likes of Sheffield United and Brentford. Been lots of clubs, especially in Germany, who've been trying to get him to stay, but Arsenal have really progressed the contract talks in the last few weeks, and now we are very, very close to having the official confirmation that he will be signing, which will be a big boost to Arsenal because we've all seen how talented he is. What it means for the likes of Nketiah, certainly, I think probably that he's going to be, will move on elsewhere. Interesting, as I've discussed in previous videos, that the same agent has Eddie Nketiah and Folarin Balogun. And so you'd have thought in all the conversations about Balogun and why he should stay in his pathway being mapped through to the first team, they would certainly have included Nketiah. And for now, you kind of look at Nketiah as someone who's standing in the way of Balogun, and you do wonder, as part of those talks, that it's been agreed that Eddie will move on into and get some first-team football elsewhere from next season. But that's something that will be decided in the summer, so we'll have to wait and see. But when I asked Mikel, actually, how have you managed to convince Balogun to stay, because it had looked like he was going to be heading off, and he said, just by trying to, first of all, understand why he got to the point that he was really thinking about leaving the football club after being raised here and the feelings that he has built up towards the club. Once you understand the position of him, then you try to explain to him what you want to do and how involved he is going to be in the project and how that will work going forward. Then get the full commitment from the club and the support from Edu, who I think has done an incredible job as well. So big praise for Edu there from Mikel in terms of convincing Balogun to sign and put pen to paper. I then asked him, what does the future hold for Balogun next season, and is he going to be a first-team regular for you in the squad, or is he going to go out on loan and get regular game time? He said, first of all, we have to sign him. Once we sign him, we go step by step, and we'll communicate with you guys on what we are doing. So we'll have to wait and see in terms of what the future is for Balogun, immediate future. Anyway, once this deal has been signed, like I suggested in previous videos, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going out on loan. I'm not saying he definitely should, but it depends. If Mikel's planning to use him constantly next season, then yeah, I think he should stay and get the minutes at Arsenal. But if he's not going to be, if he's only going to be playing a few little here and there, putting in a few performances here and there, and being way behind the likes of Aubameyang and Martinelli, then it's probably not best for him to stay for another year. Maybe he can go out, get some regular football, and then come back when Mikel believes he's ready. So I think it all rests on where Mikel believes he is in terms of his development. Is he ready to be a first-team regular, playing, starting games, coming in off the bench on a regular basis? And if he's not, then he's probably better at this stage of his development to go out on loan and play elsewhere. But we'll have to wait and see. It all rests on what Mikel believes is right for Balogun and where he is already in his development. Okay, let's quickly talk about another player who's been talking about his contract today, actually, and that is Bernd Leno, Arsenal's #1 goalkeeper. He's been speaking during the press conference as well. Some interesting bits about his future. Now, he's got 2 years left on his contract. Bernd Leno obviously arrived from Leverkusen 3 years ago now. I think he's had a good enough stay at Arsenal. Obviously, there have been mistakes along the way. He's been very good at times along the way. I think he's having a bit of a sketchy season this season, Leno. I do wonder what the whole Martinez thing did for him confidence-wise at the end of last season. Obviously, there was a lot of debate about who should be Arsenal's #1 keeper. Should it be Martinez? Should it be Leno? Arteta obviously opting for Leno. Martinez was sold, which has brought a lot of focus onto Leno once again. He was really settled, I think, before that and playing so well last season before his injury, but he's not quite replicated that since he's come back from his injury, I think. And maybe the whole Martinez thing has knocked his confidence a little bit, and he has not. I don't think he's quite hit the heights this season than that he certainly set last season. But he has been talking about his future and the fact he's got 2 years left. He was asked if there have been contract talks, about extending that stay, and he says no, not yet. And I think at the moment it is not the right time to speak about the future. I know that I have still 2 years contract left. I'm also 29. I think for a goalkeeper that is not too old. So I still have some years to go. I am very happy at the club. I don't know what will come in the future, but I am open to everything, maybe for a new adventure or to stay at Arsenal. Like I said, at the moment, I don't think about my future because 2 years is still a long time. At the moment, there are no conversations with the club or something else. No surprises at the moment. There's no contract talks ongoing because I think other than Balogun, Arsenal haven't been engaging in any contract talks with anyone, because the Balogun one obviously takes preference because he's out of contract at the end of the season. The rest of them, Lacazette, Nketiah, Leno, people like that, Tierney, even Saka, Smith Rowe, I think that'll all be done in what is going to be an incredibly busy summer for Edu and Richard Garlick when he finally arrives and takes up his post as head of football operations at Arsenal. It's going to be an interesting one with Leno, I think. I think Arsenal will be mad to let him go now and move on because they've got so much to do this summer. The last thing you want to do really is look for a new goalkeeper as well. You've got an established international keeper who is a very good goalkeeper. I think he's done perfectly fine since he's been at Arsenal. I think if you're going to sign a keeper this season, it's for this summer. It's a #2 to really challenge Bernd Leno. It's not to bring in a whole new #1 and start that process again on top of everything else you've got to do. Now we know they like David Raya at Brentford. They tried to get him last summer. That didn't happen. They ended up having to rush out and get Runarsson as their #2 for the season. That obviously hasn't gone very well. Runarsson just clearly not really up to the standard of being a second choice goalkeeper at Arsenal. Perfectly fine for #3 perhaps. And that was originally the plan. It didn't happen because Arsenal couldn't convince Brentford to part with David Raya. Whether they go back for Raya again this summer remains to be seen. He could well be in the Premier League anyway, depending on what Brentford do in the playoffs. Looks like it's going to probably have to be the playoffs for Brentford again this season. If they come up to the Premier League, then they're going to be in a decent financial position. Probably won't want to part company again with their #1 keeper, and that will leave Arsenal having to look elsewhere again. So for me, I just think there's so many things they have to do this summer, Arsenal. So many key areas, priority areas in terms of strengthening the squad. That having to go out and sign yourself a new #1, I'm not so sure. So it doesn't make too much sense for me now. I think Bernd Leno is not even in his prime yet, 29. Keepers go 36, 37 nowadays. I think they'll probably get to their best of their career when they're about 31, 32. So I certainly wouldn't be looking to move Bernd Leno on this summer. I have to admit, I think that's one position Arsenal don't need to really worry about, and they need to focus their priorities elsewhere in what's going to be a very difficult transfer market to navigate. Right, let's turn our attentions a little bit to tomorrow night's game, shall we? And some team news. Well, the latest team news we have ahead of that game is Emil Smith Rowe and Bukayo Saka have both been past fit to play. Apologies. Saka obviously limped off against Sheffield United in Sunday night now, but that looks like it's fine. It was a little bit of a thigh problem. But he's been training, he's past fit, so he will be available to fly, which is a bonus. Arsenal are training at 11 a.m. today. By the time you watch this, it may well have already trained. 11 a.m. today, and then they're flying out to Prague for the second leg. So Saka will be involved in that. Emil Smith Rowe, who's missed a couple of games, he is fit to play as well now and will be involved in that. So that's a big boost for Arsenal. We're not sure yet about Pierre, Emerick, Aubameyang and Martin Odegaard. They haven't been training yet, and at the time of speaking to Mikel Arteta this morning, it wasn't clear whether they were going to be training today. Here's what Mikel had to say about Aubameyang and Odegaard. He says, "I don't know. We have to see how they are today. We still have a couple of other ones in the last few days as well. So we'll have to see how everybody is today and after training, how they react for tomorrow's game." But when he was asked whether Auba or Odegaard would train today, he said, depending on how they wake up. If they wake up better, yes. Yesterday, neither of them could train. Hopefully today, it's a sunnier day, so maybe it's better. Now, that last little line was a bit of a joke. He was laughing when he said it, so I don't think quite a few people have seen that as a big dig or something like that. I don't think it was a dig. It was just a little bit of a joke from Mikel Arteta. So that's a big boost for Arsenal because... it would be a big boost for Arsenal if you have Odegaard and you have Aubameyang fit. Because let's face it, this is a match where you want all your available players, certainly your big name players, playing because it's just absolutely crucial, isn't it? We all know how important this game, what it's going to mean for Arsenal if they go out at this stage of the competition. If they lose to Slavia Prague, a team who they're a decent team, they've played well this season, had already beaten the likes of Rangers, beaten the likes of Leicester. But Arsenal need to be beating Slavia Prague. You don't want to go out to them. It's going to put a lot of spotlight on Mikel Arteta, a lot of spotlight on the progress that Arsenal have made this season. And so you need your big players to step up. Arsenal have relied a lot on youngsters this season with Saka, with Smith Rowe stepping up certainly since Christmas. Even Odegaard since he's come in, although he's a big name player. But you need some of your senior players. Lacazette's been playing very well recently. Can he do it again in a big game? Aubameyang's been really struggling of late. Can he come back and do it in a big game? That's what you want. You want to see your big players, like Aubameyang did against Benfica in the second leg when Arsenal really needed him. Aubameyang stepped up and delivered and got them through. That's what he needs to do again today. Mikel was asking about the big name players. He said, absolutely, we've shown it in big games. Big players have to step up and create the magic moments, and you need that. So let's hope we can have them. It's very important for us, and this is our club. There's no individual interest. It's all collective interest that we want to do well in every competition. Tomorrow's game can put us in a position to go into a semi-final of a European competition. This is exactly where the club has to be, and that's why tomorrow we have to do our best to earn that. He's also asked, could you imagine Arsenal not being in Europe this season? Have you allowed yourself to imagine Arsenal not being in European competition next season? He said no, because I don't want to put it in my mind or transmit it to any of the players or anybody at this club. He knows how big it is tomorrow. Everyone knows how big it is tomorrow. It is an absolutely crucial game for Arsenal, for their progress, and it's a crucial game for Mikel Arteta and how his project, as it is likely to be called, or process, whatever, is going at Arsenal. Now, before I go, just on the left-back situation, obviously no Kieran Tierney. Mikel admitting after the Sheffield United game he's probably out for the season. Now, I asked Mikel about this today because Granit Xhaka played there on Sunday, played pretty well. I just don't see that being a long-term solution for me. I think you're going to get a lot bit harder tests in Sheffield United. I don't think Xhaka was really tested defensively in that game. I think playing Xhaka there, he can do a job because he's naturally left-footed, but it hurts you in a couple of ways. A, he's not going to bomb forward, overlap, and do what Tierney does and be that creative spark down the left-hand side. I don't even think he's going to be able to do that anywhere near as well as someone like Cedric, who is playing out of position, or even Bukayo Saka if you moved him there. And what it also does, it weaken you in the central midfield as well, because we all know Xhaka is very important to Arsenal in the central midfield. So I asked him about that and whether Xhaka was a long-term option for the remainder of the season at left-back. And he said, look, we looked at our options in relation to the opponent on Sunday and the formation we wanted to use to fit the qualities of player we had available. Obviously, not having Kieran, it was a big hit because of what he produces and how important he is in the team. Now we have to find different ways. And the good thing is with Granit that he can play 2 or 3 positions. I can still see him playing as centre-back when it's needed because of his discipline, his commitment and his qualities. And he had a very good job in a different game for the way Sheffield set up. In terms of tomorrow, we'll decide tomorrow. And then I asked him, does it weaken your midfield? He said yes, but then you have to move 1 or 2 pieces. At the moment, we're missing David, Kieran, we're missing Martin as well, we're missing Auba, so we've been missing quite a lot of important players. We have to move the team around somehow without touching it too much. We have to find the right solution. There's no doubt injuries are beginning to hurt Arsenal at a real crucial stage of the season. We're seeing that with the likes of Xhaka having a fill-in in different positions. Obviously, Arsenal decided not to go all out and get a left back in January. There was interest in the likes of Bertrand, as I reported at the time. They didn't manage to get that done. They were focused elsewhere in January. you kind of think they're probably regretting that a little bit now, but you know, you can't see the future. You don't know Tierney, even with his injury issues, was going to pick up the problem he's picked up and miss the final weeks of the season. So it is an issue, but I think you've got to be playing. For me, Cedric plays on the left, I think, for the majority of the games. I think you just got to bite the bullet playing there, although he's not a left-sided player. I still think he brings more to that position going forward than Aubameyang does. Ideally, I think Saka's probably the best there. I think we all probably admit that. The only issue is then you have to lose Saka on the right-hand side of the attack, or even at number 10 where he played against Sheffield United. He's so important to how Arsenal attack, and he offers so much there. So issues for Arsenal at left back. It's a situation that's a bit frustrating, I'm sure, for Mikel Arteta, but it's the way of the world, and end of a very big demanding season like this one, you're always going to get injuries, and you're going to have to make sure you shuffle your squad enough to be able to still get results. And they did that on Sunday night, and they're going to certainly, hopefully, they can do that again tomorrow night in Prague. All right, that's about it for today's video. Thank you for watching, everyone. I will put back on tomorrow morning, looking ahead more to the Prague game, doing my predicted 11, looking at the key decisions that Mikel has facing him in terms of his team selection, that sort of thing. So do keep an eye out for that one. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's sunny out there if you're in the UK, a bit cold, but go out, enjoy the day, enjoy the sunshine, and yeah, get yourselves ready for a crucial match for Arsenal tomorrow in the Europa League. Until then, everyone, have a very good day. I'll speak to you very, very soon.